Welcome back to Session 3 of the Career Success Program. Today's materials that you're going to need are the table tents, the grippy high-performance cards, the paper clips, as well as the index cards. And we would encourage you to take the time before class to make baggies with 25 of each color card as well as 25 paper clips so that you can easily distribute those to the students during the activity. We also encourage you to bring a ruler to be able to measure the structures at the end of their activity. The students need the Team Challenge poster, and they will also need the Career Success Toolbox envelopes once again. This activity is all about collaboration and creativity. The students are very familiar with teamwork because in their high school experience they work with a lot of small groups and small teams. Oftentimes their teachers assign them to work in small groups, and often they have a strong opinion about this. Some of them love it, some of them don't like it as much. It's always great to get them talking, and so one way the book encourages you to introduce the activity is to ask them about teams that they've been on. When have they been on a team where they feel like they've done all the work? When have they been on a team when people wouldn't let them do any of the work, etc.? So there are some talking points to get you started, and the way the JA curriculum today is aligned is to talk to the students about the grippy model. This is a model where you can give the students these cards, and they are kind of in a nice format in which they could use them as a bookmark. They could put them in their lockers or in their backpacks to pull out when they are using group activities. This is where it's going to talk you through the process of working with goals, roles and responsibilities, processes, and the importance of interpersonal relationship skills. So you can hand these out and talk through that with the students, and the book walks you through some of the teaching points and how to introduce that model. It also gives you an area in which you can give a personal example of how you've applied the grippy model to a high-performance team. You might also want to consider thinking about a team or a group that the students are familiar with that they could apply the model to whole class. The students are often part of small groups such as FCCLA, FFA, FBLA, debate, cheer, sports, band, lots of different groups in which they could apply this model, and they might be able to work together as a large class to pull together an example. The actual activity today is that they are going to work in small groups to accomplish a team challenge. And this team challenge is found on these posters. So what I would do is I would explain the process before splitting the students into small groups. What you're going to want to do is tell the students that they are going to use the index cards and the paper clips provided to work on a team challenge. And that is to build a structure that's freestanding, tall, sturdy, built within the time frame you give them, and it needs to be creative. They can only use the materials that you provide. They cannot use scissors, but they can tear the cards if they would like to make them smaller. The students are going to have time to work together in small groups, and so we really want them to apply the grippy model to this challenge. So in order to do that, once you get the students into small groups, you want them to spend the first 3 or 4 minutes walking through these grippy team criteria steps. What they're going to do is they're going to read it as a small group, they're going to decide on it, and then they're going to initial in this before the build column in order to identify that they are all in agreement on the plan. At the end of the activity, they're going to have the opportunity to actually score how well they worked as a team. So that will be forthcoming. After the students brainstorm on their plan, you are going to give them 10 to 15 minutes depending upon how much time you have in your class. You need to kind of gauge the time frame that would work best for you, but give them 10 to 15 minutes to actually build their structure. Make sure that everybody knows the time frame and the allotment, and give them 5 minutes remaining, 2 minutes remaining, 1 minute remaining warnings so that everybody is on an even playing field. The students are going to work in their small groups to build their structures, and then at the end they are going to have the opportunity to both score themselves as well as get a score from the judge. You can work with the classroom teacher to have the teacher be the judge, you can be the judge, or you can work together to be the judge collaboratively. So the students are going to, at the end, they are going to score themselves regarding the criteria that's listed on the poster. It would be advantageous for them to take a look at this prior to building their structures as well. You might want to point that out in your instructions. Then you are going to walk around the room and score them as well. And again, using a ruler, whether the teacher has one or whether you bring one to class, will allow you to know whether they meet the height requirements. This activity allows you the opportunity to really talk about a wide range of team elements. What I would encourage you to do is, as the students are working in their small groups for those 10 to 15 minutes, I would ask the classroom teacher to observe, as well as you observe without the students knowing it. Take note as to who's working well together, what elements aren't working, what structure fell apart, did the team dissolve, did they regroup and try over, how did they overcome challenges, was there somebody that had a stronger voice, was everybody participating? All those different elements can be brought in. And there is a section in your guidebook that's specifically noted to the debriefing portion, which would follow the activity. But I would encourage you to be paying attention throughout the activity to bring in some of those specific examples from the students themselves. Then you will have the summary and review, once again wanting to wrap up the entire concept of the day. And this time, the element on their toolbox is to write down the 4 pillars of high performance teams, so that once again they can be reminded of that as they work together in groups here in high school, but also as they get into the future career force. Enjoy session 3.